Hi, happy October. My name's Israel, and like a lot of you, I've always loved The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's a brilliant story about worlds colliding and misunderstood intentions, and of course, the misfits trying to fit in. But something has always nagged at me when I took a step back and looked at some of the story's dynamics. So to begin with, who doesn't love a good underdog story? The Nightmare Before Christmas seems to set that up in a few ways. I'm not going to go into them all, but I do want to touch on Jack's nobody gets me motif as he longs for something more than Halloween Town. Then there's his failed attempt to fit in with Christmas Town, where despite his best efforts, he just doesn't belong. We're given this narrative where the misunderstood outsider is rejected by the cool kids, like literally, they live in a world of snow. But this theme of not fitting in is echoed throughout the film, with other characters like Sally, who longs for freedom, and Oogie Boogie, who is cast aside as the villain, which is something else I never understood. If Jack is the king because he's the scariest, what does that make the guy who's so scary he has to be locked away? But I feel like there's a secondary narrative that gets overlooked. Our beloved hero, Jack Skellington, is the Pumpkin King. He's the king, like the literal king of Halloween Town. He's the ruler, and even the mayor admits he's just an elected official, and he relies on Jack to make the decisions. So while there's this perception of Jack being an outsider, he actually controls everything. And then you have Sally, the hot girl with a bad home life, chases after Jack, the popular guy that lives in the mansion and barely notices her. He's a spoiled brat who takes what he wants, indifferent to anyone else's thoughts or needs. Now contrast that with Oogie Boogie. Now, Oogie's imprisoned, but he's fed bugs through a pipe by the only 3 children in town. Despite being feared, he's loved and cared for by these kids. Yeah, he's scary, but this is Halloween Town after all. Isn't that the point? Yet he's locked away, while Jack is celebrated as being the scariest of all. So, what if Jack Skellington wasn't the misunderstood hero? What if Halloween Town's villain had been hiding in plain sight the whole time? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a holiday staple in my house, and I don't see that changing. I'm not bashing it. If anything, I hope this makes you want to rewatch it through a different lens. Now, as a part of my critique of this amazing original, I've created a reimagining that offers a darker perspective. In my version, Jack is no longer the misunderstood protagonist, but an evil tyrant ruling Halloween Town with dark magic. Oogie Boogie is no longer the monster. He's something entirely different. A prisoner trapped in burlap after losing everything. This story is more than just a new take on familiar characters. It's a commentary on how we interpret heroes and villains throughout history, and how those in power can manipulate narratives to serve their own purposes. Just as stories are often sanitized for audiences, I'm trying to peel back the layers of Halloween Town to ask deeper questions about compassion, corruption, and the true nature of villainy. I'm offering this take as a real version of events, let's say, that history would twist to portray the Disney version we know and love today. Now, if you've ever wondered what it might happen if we looked at Halloween Town from a different angle, or how the lines between good and evil blur when we dig a little deeper, I think you'll enjoy this journey. So for the month of October, I hope you'll follow along as I reimagine The Nightmare Before Christmas, but as a historical narrative that, in another dimension, could have been the basis for a popular children's story. But be warned, this isn't the story you're used to. So I'm going to have videos put out throughout the month of October, and I'm going to post the entire story by Halloween, at least. So, all right, I hope you follow along, and the story's called The Hollowing.